Domestic minor sex trafficking, and that's the right term because people will sometimes say prostitution or juvenile prostitution, and that sort of insinuates that this is some sort of choice.
When you dig deep, they're all being pimped at some point in time. None of these girls wake up at 13, 14 years old and say, hey, I'm going to be a prostitute. That just doesn't happen.
People say, well, you know, it's the oldest profession and that's a choice they make. It is not that at all. And I wish what people knew more was the truly violent and insidious nature of this and the fact that we can do something to stop it, and it's a very, very serious issue. That's what I'm hoping people can start to get.
We think it happens in other countries, and it's not. In fact, the district I represent has some of the highest rates of child trafficking in the United States. And I think once you understand that, then the question is, what do you do now?
A couple of girls came up to me at one point, 2 girls that I had arrested several times in a row over a couple weeks process. And the first one asked me that she wanted me specifically to help her get out of the life of prostitution. I was a little taken aback and I didn't really know how to respond to that. I said, well, there's got to be something for you. There's programs for domestic violence, there's programs for drug addiction, there's all kinds of programs. So when I looked into it, there was absolutely nothing.
One of the frustrations that police officers have had historically, and it's really been something that's been even worse lately, is you know, it is a crime technically, but really these are victims. And whether it be an adult or a juvenile, these officers, just like anyone else, just like any human being, are saying to themselves, what can I do to stop this cycle? And what can I do that is actually going to be meaningful right now for this victim? To say, well, look into this program, or I'll put you in jail or charge you and maybe you'll get help down the road, that isn't always very constructive. So we need something right now, something meaningful, particularly for victims who say, I'm ready to do something right now. And between the fear and the victimization and the manipulation that they're undergoing, to have a place that they can actually physically go to right this second is a tremendous move forward for us.
The first phase is the drop-in center. That's where we can take them straight off the street and get them into the center, get them immediate safe care with counseling, food, shelter, that kind of thing. These girls are stripped of their life, basically. Have no education, no family support, no peer support. So we got to replace that with the support of the Genesis Project Drop-In Center, which will include educational training, a GED program that they can get their GED, any kind of education and vocational. They all have their own dreams and desires, so we want to focus on what those are and try to point them in the right direction to where they can come back on a daily basis. That's why we want it 24/7. Have a daily basis. They're basically enrolled in class and school and job skill, vocational training on a day-to-day basis. The third phase is for a safe house, and that's going to be outside the normal areas of prostitution, get them away from the area. These are the girls that have no place. They have no family, no friends, no place to live, runaways, foster care problems, everything. So these girls will be placed in a safe house, and then we will transport them on a day-to-day basis, enrolled in the programs, and they'll go through the GED training, they'll go through the educational training, and then when they go through, they'll have the counselors or map out a plan for their lives, a plan for where they want to go, and then as they graduate from their GED, or they can do an online high school classes. We're hooked up with other organizations for higher education, and then we will, at the end of this, we will help them do job placement as well. And that's kind of our Exodus project.
This is certainly a cause that's very, very close to my heart. I have a pretty strong feeling about these girls that are victimized and the fact that people minimize it. And I'm hoping that the Genesis Project, along with a lot of supporters, including myself, are going to find that more people know about the Genesis Project, that more people really care about this subject and are willing to do something about it.
I had talked to this girl about a year prior, a couple weeks ago, in December of 2010. I talked to her about it back then. I found her on the street. She was being pursued by her pimp, and we talked about the Genesis Project. I talked about it wasn't open at the time, so the only thing I could do was talk to her about it. I didn't see her for a year. Myself and the detectives were out last week. We picked her up again. She told us that pimp that was pursuing her a year ago, she testified against him, went to her hotel room, talked to her for another 30 minutes, said, the center's open, would you try it just tonight? Just go in there, talk to the ladies, and they can give you some resources, because she's told us she wants out of life. While we're at the hotel room, her pimp was calling her. So we got her, packed her up, 3 hours into a conversation with one of the counselors, she told the counselor, I want out right now. We weren't able, we will be at that point, but right now we're not able to take girls full time. But there was an opening at the LA Dream Center. One of the counselors and volunteers that we have at the center had a buddy pass. The very next day they flew her down there and she's enrolled in the LA Dream Center right now, out of prostitution and into a rehabilitation type situation. So that was really, really rewarding.